silence is the only place you can truly build.
I don't think boredom is something we should be seeking out per se. I think the things that lead to boredom is what we should be seeking out, if that makes sense. Boredom can also mean, oh, I'm not strength training or lifting weights or going on a run, or I'm not. See, because boredom can mean different things to different people. If somebody's hyper-stimulated all the time, flashing colors in their face from all these YouTube and TikTok and Instagram and all these different things, and blah, 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 and super high dopamine, blah, 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 sugar, 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 all this other stuff, they're going to be overloaded with things, and then boredom to them is going to be driving a race car, even. That's going to be boring because in comparison, it's less. Oh, I have to sit here and yeah, you're going fast or drive. We can even just say driving. This is boring. Whereas you take a monk and you throw them on the highway, they're going to be like, bro! They're going to be so overloaded because of the gradient is so different, the delta. So I don't think boredom should be... I don't think you should seek out boredom. What you should do is do the things that cause boredom, but then fill your mind with other things from working. And here is the main key. Be comfortable with boredom. And accept boredom. Embrace boredom. I think you shouldn't seek boredom, but you should embrace boredom. Same thing with pain. Okay. Certain things can be trained. Certain things are good for training. Taking a cold shower is arguably painful, and you should seek that out. But it's not the pain that you're seeking out per se. It's the building of the disciplined muscle. And what's required for that is pain. Just like it's not the boredom that you're seeking, it's the building of the focus muscle. And they are trainable just like muscles. This has been proven. So it's not the boredom that we should be seeking. It's the elimination of distractions that we should be seeking. And being comfortable, embracing, even if it sucks, the quiet, the boredom. That's what we should embrace, not seek.
Yeah, that's the perfect distinction. You're not chasing boredom for the sake of it. You're removing the noise despite the boredom, and then learning how to hold steady when there's nothing exciting pulling you along. It's kind of like lifting, right? You're not in love with the soreness, you're in love with what the soreness builds. Same thing with silence. Same thing with discomfort. It's all resistance training, and if we're honest, most people's focus muscles are just completely atrophied. They've never had to sit still without a drip feed of novelty. So when you strip that away, yeah, it's gonna feel like something's wrong. But maybe that feeling, that restlessness, that's the real you knocking. Let's keep this going. How do you personally structure your day to protect that focus? Like, what habits or rules do you live by to keep your mind sharp in a world that's constantly trying to pull it apart?
I think you need to have a schedule of some sort that will keep you on track. I think you need to block out distractions. I mean, I'm not sure what kind of question that is. You need to do the things that are required of you, that you know you should do, whether you feel like it or not. You need to have standards for yourself, because you don't get what you want, you get your standards. You need to have habits in place that you are building day in, day out, because nothing is given to you. Everything is rented. Even this body, if you stop feeding your body's going to atrophy and die. If you stop feeding your mind, your mind is going to atrophy and die. Everything is rented. We are a collection of atoms, and one day these collection of atoms will return to the earth. And that's just how it is. Everything is rented. And we need to recognize that. And we need to have the ability to build in structure into our lives, such as a schedule, such as a dedicated environment to do the work that you need to do to go to get the goals that you want. Yeah, there's a lot of different little tricks and tips. I could tell you to keep your bed for just sleeping, and I could tell you to the putting your phone across the room. But I mean, then these are structural things. These are things that add structure to your life. But there's so many that it's impractical to give like one blanket general statement for that, because there's just so many. I think knowing when to say no, that's incredibly important when someone is wanting to take all your time away, and knowing when to say no. And that can be a tough thing. That's a tough thing to deal with. It's a tough thing because you might really care and love for this person, but you also need to have a bit of a backbone. You don't need to be an ass about it. You can approach it in a polite way and say, or a assertive way. Don't be aggressive, but you can be assertive at least. Be like, oh, I'm trying to do this right now. There's different ways of doing that. And the more that you slowly build that up, and the more that you set boundaries for yourself, the more people will recognize and understand that. And if they don't, are they people that you want to hang around anyway? You got to make these choices. If they're constantly trying to get you to do something or trying to walk over your boundaries, and it's a difficult juggling act of spending time with people and caring for these people and, having your own boundaries and your own personal space to do your own thing, to paint your mark on this world. So it's good to have those boundaries, and it's good to be assertive. And I would say you don't want to cut all those people out entirely. You don't want to be, to them, you might look like Scrooge, where you're just so focused on work and I don't want anything to do with all that. But to a hyper-disciplined person, you might not look disciplined enough. And everybody's different. Everybody has their own path. There's no work this amount of hours a day. There's no anything like that. That's a one-size-fits-all. And a lot of hustle culture will tell you, sleep less, get 4 hours of sleep, and you can do it anyway. It doesn't matter. Sacrifice your health for this, and don't care for your body. Go sit and they're going to say sacrifice, cut off all people and go silent for months and just sit alone in a cave and get 4 hours of sleep. There comes a point where you're just being an asshole to yourself. Your goals, you're setting these, a lot of times, materialistic goals above everything else, and just listening to people that because they said so. You don't want to be a follower in that aspect. And you should realize that these things are going to help you too. And almost like, what is it all for? Are you doing it just so that you can flex around other people? You should have a few close relationships in your life. We are social creatures. We need that. Especially in a day and age where disconnectivity is higher than ever before. And the internet is not it's a solution for that, but it's a low solution. It takes so much more connection from online to achieve that inner fulfillment of feeling like you're actually connected to people than it does for an in-person interaction. So the internet is another great tool for that too, because if you genuinely don't have other people to be around, you can still use that. Use what you've got for now. but you want to be semi-balanced. And you can prioritize one and be front-loaded to say. You can say, hey, okay, I'm going to put most of my eggs in this basket, but don't cut out everybody else just so you can get this thing. Don't say screw everybody else. I mean, you can cut out other people that aren't helping you, that are urging you to do dumb shit, going out to clubs and drinking and all this other stuff that, again, I'm not giving you exact advice. Do what you want. What I am giving you is guidance. If you enjoyed this video, you can watch the full version right here.